All right, we can get going. Well, welcome everyone for joining today. Um, we have a really fun webinar for you guys going. Uh, don't lose your data. To kick it off here, we have today's presenters, myself, Nick DeStefano. I am a senior product marketing manager here at NinjaOne. We have Dan Myers, product manager for our backup products here at NinjaOne as well. And we have a very special guest, Raffi Kajberouni, President and General Manager of H.E.R.O.S. So we'll get going. I'll walk you guys through the agenda, and then I'm going to fall into the background and hand it off to the two stars of the show. So today, this is going to be our agenda. We're going to ask you guys a poll question kind of right in the beginning. So feel free to interact there, answer the poll question. We're going to go over the H.E.R.O.S ransomware incident. We're going to talk to Raffi about his prior preparation, go over kind of what Raffi learned both during and after the incident itself. We'll wrap up with kind of a top things you need to know, both from during, after an incident, kind of really, boil it down to 6 top points there for you guys. And then we'll give, about 10, 15 minutes at the end for a Q&A session. And then I'll welcome JP back in to give one lucky listener a giveaway. So Dan, I'll hand it over to you if you want to get us going.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Great to see everyone this morning, and appreciate you taking the time out of your busy day, your busy week here. Today, we're going to be talking about a specific ransomware incident, and Rafi's going to be going over what he encountered. Our goal today is to make sure that you are prepared for such an incident if it were to ever happen to you, and to take some lessons learned here. I want to get us started off, though, by asking a question to the audience here. And really, it is, on a scale of 1 to 5, how prepared are you for a ransomware incident in your organization? And oh shoot, let me get the scale again. On a scale of 1 to 5, oh gosh, Nick, what did we decide the scale? I feel horrible. Everyone's already voting.
0 is not very prepared. 5.
Okay, thanks.
I got you.
I'm a 0 preparation on this poll. All right. 5 is I am prepared. I'm very prepared for a ransomware incident in my organization. 0 is I am not prepared. Okay.
Perfect.
Thank you. Just another 30 seconds here. Yeah, go ahead.
As that's going in, one quick mention, I dropped it in the chat as well. If you do have any Q&A questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A section. I'll be reading the questions off for there for our Q&A at the end.
Yep. Awesome. All right. I think that's a pretty good good spread if you can share the results here. But basically, 36% of you gave a 3, right in the middle, and only 8% feel that they are fully prepared. So we're going to take a look at an incident that Raffi and the H.E.R.O.S organization experienced here. And hopefully we are able to bump those scores up, giving you some new information. So Raffi, thank you for taking some time to join us in your work week. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and why don't you take us right into what you and your team experienced?
Absolutely. First of all, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to everybody out there from all across the world coming here. Greatly appreciate you guys are here. My name is Raffi Kajberouni. I am the President and General Manager of H.E.R.O.S Incorporated. We're a authorized Rolls-Royce maintenance, overhaul, and repair center for the Rolls-Royce Model 250 and Rolls-Royce 300 helicopter engines. So you could technically say we're in the aviation industry, but we're definitely in a very niche market of the aviation industry. I'm looking at this poll here and I'm kind of giggling to myself, because if I were to put a vote on right now, I would definitely think I was maybe a 4.5. And then when the incident occurred, I definitely realized I was like a 0 to 1. And I wish I had something like this prior to our our incident here when it occurred. So unfortunately, I do remember it like it was yesterday. It is something, that the event that really doesn't go away once it happens. It's something that's always on the back of your mind. But it's close to being almost a 2-year anniversary since it happened. But it's very traumatic. I like to tell people that it's almost just feeling like a victim to a crime. Someone broke into your house while you were at work, ransack a place and left, and you came back home realizing you had just been burglarized. It's a very empty feeling. So for us, and looking at this timeline here, which is an accurate timeline of everything that occurred to us, the actual attack and the encryption occurred when no one was at work. Like many businesses out there, I don't have a full-time IT staff. We're definitely not an organization that needs one. You can consider a small to medium business. The IT is pretty much handled through me. Didn't have anybody as far as to always monitor the system, overnight. So unfortunately, they attacked us while everybody was sleeping, while everybody was out of the house. It wasn't until the morning shift came in and they all saw the ransom notes on printers, and they saw their computers unable to access data. So that's the time I was made aware, was the next morning. He pretty much gave me a call, said, "This is what's going on." I logged in quickly into our servers and realized we were still being encrypted at that time. The attack was still ongoing at that time. The initial feeling you feel with all this is, first it's that shock, and then you realize you're very alone. Because at first you just don't think it's going to happen to you, right? I'm not in that business where ransomware people want to go to. What are they going to get from me? I mean, I have nothing for these guys. It doesn't matter who you are. They have no problem for attacking anyone of any size, of any industry, regardless of your market share. If you could be a victim, you are definitely going to be a victim. So once I realized, all right, well, this has happened, we got to get to work. That's pretty much when I picked up the phone, called my team over down at NinjaOne, let them know what happened. And in a matter of just a couple hours, we got a team together to fully evaluate the system and what happened. It did bring the business down, as typically, any ransomware events does. But a lot of investigations started to occur that time with the NinjaOne team. Was any data lost? Was any data taken? What was the extent of the attack and how far did they go through? All that started to occur. So later on in that pretty much day was, you could kind of almost consider it like a triage of what we need to do. We, evaluated the situation. All right, here's my infrastructure. What do we need to do? And a plan was done. And that was another thing I learned. Because I felt I was so confident, like I said, I would have voted between the 4 and the 5. I didn't have a written plan. I kept everything up in here, and I was like, it would never happen to me. I have nothing to worry about. It did occur, and I had no idea what to do. I didn't know my steps. I didn't know my process. I didn't know what exactly should be done. I am happy that I did at least do basic things that anyone in IT should know, or anyone that handles their network should know. And that's the basics of doing data backup. Your 3-2-1s, your local, your offsite, your cloud. And obviously my cloud backup was by NinjaOne, and that's eventually what saved our business, because I didn't know much about ransomware back then. I didn't know their capabilities, didn't know what could really occur. And the items that I did learn was definitely extremely shocking. So I actually did all the backups, the local, the on-site, off-site, and cloud. Um, I quickly learned that your local backup, like your SaaS device, your either any type of Aperture, any type of backup system you have, that quickly got encrypted. The encryption software knows what type of file extensions, what to go after. Don't underestimate the powerfulness behind this evil tool that they use. It specifically hunts those down in your network, and that's like one of the first things it shuts down. So my local backup was gone. It was non-existent. I then under false pretenses that I felt that Google Drive and OneDrive was going to save my business. And boy, was I wrong, because guess what else they encrypted? Both those drives. And you're trying to think to yourself, well, how did that occur? The ransomware system detects anything that's connected to your computer, either it be local or it being a offsite type deal. It's going to go and encrypt it. So, I kind of took the 3-2-1 and I made it into like a 5-4-3-2-1. I was very serious on my backups, but I realized quickly that was encrypted. Then another thing I learned, and unfortunately this occurred over the weekend, September 18th was on a Sunday. My offsite backup, I use just regular portable USB hard drives, and I connected it to it, and I left it there over the weekend. I left it connected to the servers. Any USB drive that was connected to workstations or servers got encrypted as well. So my offsite backup, gone. If I didn't have this cloud backup through NinjaOne, I definitely will be here today telling a different story. Just the thought of knowing the company's 35-year history of just data, and you quickly realize, the importance and the value of your data when you don't have access to it. Once all that was determined, all right, I got data, I'm saved. Now we got to get this restored. Now we got to get this thing back up and running. Now it's time to get things backed up. Let's get to work. And that's when the work started with NinjaOne. We got the servers back up and running. We created a sandbox environment, something I wish I had. Just knowing, hey, if I ever have servers offline, man, I should have had this sandbox environment so I could quickly get, back up to work. But we built up a nice sandbox environment, make sure if any of my backup files were still infected, because don't know how much a lot of people read about ransomware, but sometimes they infiltrate your network and they stay there before they actually do an attack to infiltrate and damage your previous backup. So when you restore your backup, they could re-attack you. And sometimes, unfortunately, if you do pay into their demands, they double ransomware you. Once we determined everything was clean, everything was good, we started bringing the workstations back up and running. And then by Wednesday, we got the entire organization back up and running. So a pretty interesting 3.5, 4 days that had no sleep to my eyelids. It was a constant 24/7, which I have to thank, my team out at NinjaOne. They kind of were there with me throughout every step of the way. But, for the sake of time, I don't want to get into too much details. Let that up in the Q&A and, just in our conversation. But that's a little bit of the 5-minute scenario as to what occurred to us.
Wow. I mean, I know I've heard this a couple times for you now, Raffi, as we prepared even for this event, but it doesn't soften the blow hearing it once, twice, or 3 times. So even with your prior preparation, I mean, you thought that you were using some good practices with having, a 3-2-1 backup strategy, with utilizing OneDrive and Google Workspace. But recognizing, and I am really glad you touched on the OneDrive and Google Workspace, because I fully believe that these are not backup products whatsoever. They are synchronization and productivity tools. And Microsoft and Google are not responsible for your data. And so it really is important to be backing up all aspects of your data, making sure that you're keeping multiple copies of it. And in the event that something happens to one of your backups, that you do have redundancies in place. And I'm glad that you had those redundancies in place. Otherwise, I think you're right. We'd be talking about a different story, a different outcome. Take us through. I mean, you talked in detail here about the attack. I mean, what are some of the things? What did you learn? What did you learn from this entire incident here?
Yeah, I mean, very quickly on that, offsite backup with the OneDrive and the Microsoft OneDrive and that Google Drive. You're absolutely right. They're not a tool to be used as an offsite backup. And I learned that almost instantaneously when I first went over there, and I was so excited because I thought, oh, that's fine. I'll just use, this redundancy plan I had for offsite backup, and quickly realized that was as quickly encrypted as my regular hard drives. So, I unfortunately drank the Kool-Aid and thought it was, and quickly realized it was not. So what I learned and what I picked up was a lot. First and foremost, I was very unprepared. I felt I was prepared. I felt I was knowledgeable. I felt I could handle it. I felt like it would never happen to me. And I was very humbled. It was an experience where I felt very lost. Again, it was very lonely. We're not a company that has a full IT staff on. Like I said, in any like small business, usually the CEO is the IT individual, or you have a part-time IT individual. So you got to have a written plan. That written plan is extremely important. Redundancies. One or two is not enough, is what I learned. You have to have as many as possible. It's I continue to learn how to improve it even till today. So another thing that I highly recommend with everyone is get involved. Learn about ransomware. Learn how they infiltrate your network, how they do it. I'll tell you right now, your biggest threat to your network is your user. So how do I protect my network from my own employees, from my users, to prevent this occurring again? Because I quickly learned it wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when an attack would occur. And I decided to put into place educational seminars, for my employees. Don't be clicking on this link. You don't have $10 million somewhere stashed away waiting for you. No, don't fill out your private information, on this website. So it was a lot of educational to my employees as to just regular, what we assume is basic knowledge, common knowledge, is definitely not basic and common for your users. At the end of the day, it's not their computers, right? They're not suffering from any data loss. They're not going to suffer what you go through. So you have to be extra diligent in ensuring that you're doing everything you can to protect your network. I definitely put in some other plans as far as infrastructure. We all hear in the movies, kill the hardwire, kill the hard line, shut off the power. Believe it or not, I learned that is probably your best tool while your attack is in progress. Because when I was notified just several hours after the attack started, I did realize the encryption was still in progress. I was able to log into one of our workstations and actually saw files being encrypted. And talk about, that empty feeling in your gut. Turn them off. So install the kill switch in our server room, where if I'm not there and anybody else is there, you pull the switch and it disconnects everything, literally everything, your battery backups. I know a lot of people may have different opinions to that, but I mean, I'm telling you what I learned, and telling you in a small, medium business, when you don't have that full IT staff and you're on your way to that location, just kill the power. The other thing I learned, which is very disheartening, is there are going to be companies out there that are going to capitalize on how vulnerable you are, and they're going to try to capitalize on your position. and they're going to try to sell you, well, we could restore your data. We're here to help. We could do this. It's kind of like the saying goes with the bank, they're never there when you need them, but when you really need them, they're not there to help. So I quickly learned there was companies out there, especially companies that I felt were near and dear to my heart, that are trying to take this opportunity where you're down and out. I mean, you're literally kicked to the ground and you're still being stomped on. They want to capitalize on what you're doing. So maybe talk with any of your vendors. If you have a SAP program, call them, ask them, what is your ransomware protocols? If I'm hit with ransomware, how would you help me? Is there a cost involved? One of my very first questions when the team got together at NinjaOne, I was like, guys, what is this going to cost me? And there was no greater feeling of, this isn't going to cost you anything. This is part of your services. Let's not even talk about that. Let's get your network back up and running. And that leads me to my next point, where I quickly learned that I invested in NinjaOne and I expensed on other companies that were trying to capitalize me. And that's another like punch in the gut where you're like, man, I've been working with this SAP, for 10, 15 plus years, and they want to charge me how much just to get my system back installed? Yeah, I get that, you have to put in time, and I'll compensate you for your time. That's obvious. But when they add several zeros behind that just because they can, it really changes your feelings on that. So are you actually investing in companies that help you keep your IT up and running rather than expensing on it? And last and not least, even as difficult as it is, you need to get to work. The quicker you respond, the quicker you get to your network, the less amount your downtime is, because as a lot of people learned last week, downtime is costly. So you need to get back up and running. You got to just go. It's an unfortunate event, but you have to get to work.
Yeah, and Rafi, I also really appreciate, there's a level of vulnerability here that you're displaying and talking about. There is a human element to this that I think most people wouldn't even think about or be prepared for. And that's what this webinar is all about, trying to prepare you for a hopefully something that you don't have to experience. But even recognizing that you are going to be, that there's a high chance of you being emotionally in the moment traumatized and like shell shocked from this, recognizing that this is going to be a hard fought event. Even prepping your teams, guys, if this happens, we need to make sure that we know this is going to feel really bad. But if I tell you that now, like, or prepare you, you'll remember some training, we'll remember some plans and things that we did ahead of time so that you are prepared for an event. And I think that's, like I said, that's what this webinar is all about, making sure that you and your organizations take time to prepare for an event. Obviously, we've talked about NinjaOne has a backup product. I think it's great for a lot of people. At the end of the day, I don't care what backup product you're on. I want you to be prepared. I want you to make sure that you're testing your backups. You're testing your recovery plans. You're writing down a recovery and disaster plan, and you're going over it every quarter, 6 months, year. The more prepared you are, the better chance of reducing your downtime will be. Rafi, you said it. When an event happens, having been in the MSP industry, I do remember about 7, 8 years ago, the sentiment was if. And I think it's changed completely right up until my last couple of years was when. So something is going to happen. It may not be ransomware. I mean, many of these strategies could just as well be utilized if, oh my gosh, 3 hard drives failed in your RAID 6, back to back to back. Okay. A site was lost. A server just was blue screened. Are you prepared for those types of events here? And that really is the major takeaways that we want to help discuss and capitalize on with people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Because they're starting to get much more sophisticated. We've all seen the stories. you know, how they got into MGM. I mean, we've all heard, you know, what it does. I continue to try to educate myself with the ransomware world, which does empower me as far as knowledge on how to better protect myself. Because one of the other things is that's great. You've learned something, you've implemented something. Don't just forget about it. You can't implement and walk away. So I do use NinjaOne backups, and I get reports daily. Did my backup occur? Was there a problem in my backup? Recently, there's a new tool out there that if your backup doesn't happen within 36 hours, you get notified. I think that's very important for a lot of people. It's not a set and forget. You have to ensure that things are constantly being worked on, because one of the things I had to keep telling myself, because you said there's an emotional background to it, and they're actually starting to see a increase in workers' comp claims by IT professionals after they go through a ransomware attack. You know, being declared PTSD because of just the amount of emotional distress it puts on them. You cannot just set and forget. It is a constant learning environment, and you have to just be on top of it. Learn them. What are they doing? Where are they going after? How are they attacking? You will probably never know how they infiltrated your network. I will never know how they got into mine. I could only assume. I could assume it was an email click. I could only assume somebody went to a infected website. I already have all the basic group policy managements you could think of, you know, not allowing thumb drives, downloadable files, making sure your users aren't admin. I've done all that. It didn't work. It's, I mean, there's only so much you could prepare. And then you're going to quickly realize all those things you prepared for, it will come down to one or two things if you're going to be able to recover or not.
Yeah. Following a best practice, following a plan with that is super important. I appreciate you saying that backup isn't set and forget. I don't think it is. I have worked to have our internal team make sure that that phrase is not uttered to our prospects or customers that are potentially looking at our NinjaOne Backup platform. I think backup is a team effort. It's up to the vendor to give you a great product, give you great monitoring, alerting, verification tools as possible, but it does not substitute or reduce your responsibility at the end of the day to be keeping up to date, to be trusting but verifying. And so, you know, and in this instance, I'm really glad that you followed best practices here, Raffi. You used hybrid backup, local and cloud. And that is a 3-2-1 backup strategy. And at the end of the day, you had recovery options. And so we're going to make sure that we have a couple of things that we'll be sending out after the fact, but one of them is our backup best practices guide. And I can't stress enough how important it is that that everyone here is a willing partner with their vendor to be monitoring and maintaining the safety of the organizations and customers that they support, so that when an incident happens, you have options and you have things that you can rely on.
Absolutely. Having the options is what empowers you to recover. Gives you different strategies and different solutions that you could implement to get everything back up and running.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Take us through your top 6 takeaways. These are the things I want people to know, to really take away from today.
So first and foremost, like I said, understand that you're going to go through stages of emotional feelings. And the very first one, you will realize you're lonely. Unless you work for a full-time IT team and you have a staff of 30 plus and you guys hang out with each other every day, you're going to be lonely. So for those of you who serve, you know, different clients and it's a small business or whatnot, understand they're going to feel lonely. So reach out to them. Let them know you're there to help. It's very important because there is that emotional just hit to the gut someone takes because they don't know what they're going to do. They don't know how they're going to recover. The second thing I learned is it does not matter who you are. You have people that literally will just, send out emails to try to just get anyone nowadays. It doesn't matter your industry. It doesn't matter your size. They're just hoping that you click on something, your ransomware as a service. There are literally people out there who will download ransomware as a service. And if they get you hooked and you do, pay, which is not suggested, that's all they're after. They really don't care who you are. All they care about is hurting you and gaining from you financially. So get that out of your mindset that just because I'm this, I'm not a target to them. I've seen them attack 4 or 5, small employee shops. I've seen them go after just people that you're just like, God, why would they go after, this company? Because unfortunately, they're going after people that aren't educated and do pay. So it doesn't matter who you are. You got to get to work. After you've realized the incident has occurred, you got to buckle up and get to work. The longer you wait, the less of a success percentage you have in recovery. So just get to work. Get your team around you. Get your written plan. That I hope those of you who don't have it, write it. All right. It could just be a simple notepad with bullet points, whatever it is. Just get your written plan, because as much as you think you have it here, the first thing I learned as far as You'll Be Lonely, everything that you thought you had here just goes out the door. So get that written plan, have something in set. And that's, was number 4. Have a plan beforehand. I unfortunately, it's extremely disheartening to say it, but I'm prepared for the next one. It will happen again. It's not a matter of the if, it's a matter of when. So hopefully it's not for a very, very long time, and hopefully it's never, but God forbid if it occurs, I'm ready. I know what I need to do. Get your resources done. Get your automations done, get your reports done, get your conditions done, set them all up, but don't set and forget. Okay. Just because you got an email that says your backup was done, don't just move on with your day. I mean, I use NinjaOne for a lot. It's extremely easy to log into the portal. It's extremely easy to look on your mobile device. Just go look, verify, go under backups. Hey, was it done? Okay, great, done. I mean, let's not just set and forget. All right, because then you become complacent, and becoming complacent is very dangerous. So, but spend the time to set up your infrastructure. I know I laugh when I say, that kill switch. I think that kill switch is extremely important. Get an electrician out there, set up that type of kill switch, do something that, hey, if I'm not here or if I'm on vacation, who can at least do something to stop the attack? So when I say utilize your resources, it's more than just your computer. It's your internal infrastructure. Is there anything you need to do as far as contacting your vendors that you use software for? Even if you use their cloud backup, what type of ransomware protection do they have? Do you back up their backup? So just, you might want to spend a day or two and just plan those out and get them all written down. Last and not least, and I think this was so critical last week, have a sandbox environment. It gives you so many opportunities to look real smart in front of clients and make you feel great. When I know, like for an example, on Friday, when I had my customers and vendors calling me saying, yeah, we're down today. And I'm like, I'm not. No, my work's going. So another thing that's important on that sandbox environment as well, too, is you could still continue to work. I mean, if you have your data saved or whatnot, get your sandbox environment out, restore your data, get work going, because when you're not working, you're not making money and you're losing money. We definitely don't want to lose any of that money. So spend some time, get a sandbox environment. I know a lot of IT people are like, well, it just takes too much time and I just don't see the need of it. there's a huge need of it. Even if you're setting up a one server, one workstation type sandbox environment, just do it.
Yep. And remember, a lot of what we're talking about is plans for any type of contingency. Sure, we're talking about ransomware right now. But we could just as easily be talking today about hardware failure.
Yeah, hardware failure.
Site loss, maybe a similar event to Friday that didn't have a albeit time intensive, easy repair process. I mean, something like that could happen in your organization where you don't just get to delete a file and keep moving, right? So how are you going to be prepared for unforeseen circumstances? I really appreciate you talking about the set and forget again. I mean, I was a part of a call internally and a customer said, hey, why haven't my backups been running for 2 months? Now, he didn't know that someone actually turned it off. It was kind of a planned thing, a little bit of a miscommunication internally. But I'm sitting here going, look, I feel like the first 2 days are on me if like it was on and it wasn't running, but like, where are you? Where are you on the, I didn't say this, right?
You wanted to.
Just between you and me, Rafi. Where were you the other 58 days? Right? Like, and that's where I call it a team effort on things like this and why you need to be maintaining and reviewing. So Rafi, I want to thank you so much for taking the time for being vulnerable, for sharing your experiences of a hard event. Yeah, thank you very much. I want to take us through some of our Q&A that we've seen here. There's a couple of questions about, hey, the local backups, but what happened there? Or what should you move the local backups to this type of, authentication, or to this type of location, or to this type of policy? I mean, at the end of the day, this may seem like a non-answer, but like, you need to use the best practices that you have available at your disposal. If something happened to your local backup, you need to make sure you have an offsite backup. 3, 2, 1 backup strategy. It doesn't matter what happened to it. Of course, there's really great practices, and some of you are talking about them in the chat, of things like, separate service account password, or off domain, or these are valid things to consider when architecting a backup strategy. But please don't get caught up on, yes, but if I do this, then I don't need the cloud backup. It's not true. And I know some of you aren't even suggesting that you wouldn't need the cloud backup there, but I want you to treat this as the idea of the 3, 2, 1 backup strategy. And it's not about what happens if local backups get taken offline, or it is making sure, like, whether it's due to a ransomware incident, whether it's due to a hardware failure, a site loss, I don't know, anything. Having that backup, having that cloud copy in a legitimate strategy is really, really important. I've got another question here. Would the panel recommend the use of tools like ThreatLocker? I'm not going to give opinions on any other specific third parties, but what I think you should be doing is, yes, I think you should be looking into these. You do need to be reviewing your security solutions that you employ, that you throw out to your clients, and make sure that they're doing the best they can for your organization. Again, try not to get caught up on, well, if I had ThreatLocker, this would happen and I don't need to make a plan. I'm good. It's okay, guys, we got ThreatLocker. It's something non-ThreatLocker related is going to happen. Again, these are good questions, but I want to make sure that they're also not taking away from the fact that you have to have a plan and you have to be prepared for it. But yes, you absolutely should be reviewing your strategies here. All right.
Most
Well,
importantly
great.
on that as well,
Yeah, go
too,
ahead.
Dan, you have to understand that ransomware is evolving as fast as we're evolving to it. And while I feel there has been great strides of us catching up to it, the fact is we're still behind it. My ransomware was a 0-day. We had no idea that what strain it was. I did report it to the FBI as you're required to, but my hard drive was sent to them. It was analyzed. I mean, I did all that. I saw someone in here had mentioned about that. They didn't even know who it was. And I'm going to tell you, Bitdefender, who at that time was my antivirus, they didn't know what it was. So I got hit with a 0-day. So you could have Threat Locker, you could have all these other things. Just realize the attackers, these evil people, they're preparing for it. Don't underestimate them. They're not individuals to think that they don't know what they're doing. Unfortunately, they're using their skills and education and talent on very evil things, but they're always on top of what we're doing. So you have to constantly be evolving, learning, educating, just being involved with what you're doing to just do your best to try to keep up with what's going on. I'm happy to see what I've seen as far as the gap is getting closer, but there's still a gap.
Yep. We got a question here. Can you just describe your second environment, your sandbox environment, just to give people kind of a frame of reference of what you're kind of talking about when you're saying how to sandbox?
Yeah, absolutely. So mine is as basic as it could get, right? So I have a redundancy Active Directory domain server with one file server, and I have 3 workstations attached to it. It's completely off network, offline. It does stay powered on. I turn it on maybe once a week just to look into it, make sure there's no hardware failures on that sandbox environment. But it is literally a standby environment. Just pretend it's a network in a network, not connected to your network. If there's any type of Windows updates, any major ones that need to be done, I will get it on that first. Let it run for 24, 48 hours. Nothing happens. All right, then I'll push it into the main one. So it literally is as basic it could be. Your sandbox could be even as basic as a workstation, right? It doesn't have to be built up as major as it needs to be. Just have something. So mine is as basic as it could be. It's old servers that we just no longer use. I'm still a bare metal guy, believe it or not. I like bare metal stuff. I'm not into the Hyper-V and the cloud stuff. I'm sorry, maybe one day, but I like my bare metal server. So I have plenty of redundancy ones that I could just use, and I just grabbed old machines and just created that sandbox environment.
Right. Yep. So I've got some
correct, and it's not connected to the internet. It's not connected to anything unless I push a update to it. Then I'll connect it to the internet, get that update, and immediately disconnect. It has no doesn't have anything that calls for the internet. It literally is just made as a sandbox type environment.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got some questions here about NinjaOne Backup. I want to go over them in general. So one of the questions is, hey, how do you make sure that your NinjaOne cloud backups can't get compromised? The great news here is that we're writing to object storage. So even if we were to take a backup of an encrypted machine, that's not a problem. This is not being written to like a live environment that can further infect. We're backing up a file. Just so happens that this file is encrypted. There's no danger to your previous backups. As of our next release, we're actually able to use the term immutability in NinjaOne. I mean, honestly, we're there with some we're dotting our I's and crossing our T's, but there's no problem with our cloud backups here. And no risk of doing that. The agent can't be modifying its data. Once it's written, it's written. So no matter what solution you're using, I mean, things like that are a really important step to make sure that you're taking. Does NinjaOne offer a full BCDR suite that includes save templates, things like that? Do you offer disaster recovery? So not today. We are working on our boot verification. Some of you might know it by like a screenshot verification or a boot verify. So we're already in the middle of a proof of concept where we want to be able to, on schedule, spin up a machine using our image backup, proof of life it, prove that it can boot, prove that it can be seen, services are running, things like that. The next natural progression will be, why can't I just run from it in the cloud? Give me some connectivity, give me some options, and let me go with that. In just a few minutes, when I have just a breath, I will go get our product board feature request, because I have some very specific questions on what people need for disaster recovery as a service, and understanding your exact needs are going to be really important to me in helping build those out. Someone asked about private keys, security and encryption keys at NinjaOne. We have a SOC 2 attestation security document that outlines everything about how we handle all of our items. Your account manager can get you a copy of that, and it talks about all of our compliance and security needs. How do we verify backup integrity? So when you are, there's a couple of things that I like to point out here. So we take backups, image and file folder. We're still using the same principle of, we are saving something in memory that we are about to write to the backup location. When we do that, we hash it and get the value of what it is. Then we write it, whether it's local or cloud, and we check the hash again, which ensures that what I thought is what I got when you're doing that. When you're using our hybrid technology, we offer an integrity check that goes back and rechecks those entire hashes on the local NAS. You can't touch anything in the cloud. We know that. Literally, we use Amazon. They provide a bulletproof guarantee that what is written is what will stay. But because you do technically have access to your local, NAS, your Synology, your QNAP, you could accidentally make a mistake and delete a file. And that stuff is what an integrity check will catch. I think, here's a good question. Any recommendations if you have clients with less than 6 Mbps upload? That's tough. And I remember from my MSP days, we had this one client that they were just in a bad area, and they just didn't have a lot of choices. We had a couple of clients that had slow internet, and we said, I'm sorry, you need faster internet, or we need a different backup strategy. Obviously, there are sometimes limitations, but having conversations with your team, with the people that you service about, okay, this is what you have. This is a danger to your business if we only have X, right? What are we going to do about that together? And honestly, those are hard questions to answer, because you can't use your 3-2-1 backup strategy here effectively. I had a customer recently say, like, yeah, well, I need to make sure, this client has very, very slow internet, just like you're talking about. You're taking on a risk by saying, I'm going to rely on cloud only. I have people doing this. But what if a large amount of data changes? What are you going to do when that happens? Are you just going to cross your fingers and say, I can't wait for this to be done in a week? These are hard questions to answer. And honestly, they're just going to be handled on like a case-by-case basis.
I think what they could do even on that too, Dan, is, kind of ask them, do they want to invest or expense? Right?
Yeah.
Not knowing where they are in the world or what their limitations are geographically, but it's somewhat hard to not think there's a better option in there. So does your customer want to invest in their protection or not?
Yep. I've got a couple other questions here, a few more about NinjaOne Backup. So we offer file folder, which lets you file folder and image. File folder, we allow you to say, hey, I want to back up the user profile, but skip the downloads. I want to handle this folder. You can give it certain file extensions that you don't want to back up. So we have a pretty robust file and folder option. And then we also have an image backup. Guys, we're in a open beta for our new image backup right now. And this is going to enhance what we already have today as image by allowing for such things as deduplication, chainless backups. We will now be capable of saying, hey, I want to keep 6 months of backups. Please make 7 of them daily, 6 weekly, and just keep the rest monthly here. So along with that, we're making a variety of improvements, such as the speed of the backup should increase over 50% from our image today. And so I highly recommend now or in the very upcoming future, you could reach out to your account manager and we can get the beta enabled for you. But it'll be released very soon with a lot of really great features that I think you all are going to really like. Someone asked earlier, how do you choose between file folder and image? Again, it depends. It depends on what your strategy will be for different scenarios. One machine goes down, yeah, it's not too big a deal, right? You you put Windows on it, you use NinjaOne to restore to, you're good to go. I like to use image backup where I can, especially our new one that's using a ton less storage and overhead and has deduplication wherever you can, because it just makes it pretty easy to run our image restore tool and restore the machine as it was. But some people don't need the entire operating system and files. That's what's really great about our file folder solution, where you can say, please just back up documents and desktop and and see, something that some line of business local database app that seems to somehow live on every machine, right? Again, it's going to depend, but you should be looking at both of them and figuring out what's right for you. I know some people say, well, I'll image back up the CEO's computer so I can get back up and running even quicker and keep it as similar of machine settings as possible here. Just going through a lot of great questions here. How will NinjaOne be celebrating International Sysadmin Day this Friday? Well, I'm a developer and a programmer now with my team, but I hope all of you get the dinner of your choice and the drink of your choice with the people of your choice, and have a good evening. Hopefully everyone follows Read Only Friday, maybe even Read Only Thursday night, to make sure you'll have a good day there. Let's see here. Use NinjaOne. A lot of good questions. How will pricing change as the backup product evolves? That's something that our account management team will be here ready to answer. I don't have anything that I can share on that. I do want to leave you guys with and last question on our backup here. Does NinjaOne Backup support bare metal restore or VHD VMDK? So all of our image restores use our image restore tool. It's a bootable ISO or a bootable USB, and it helps you map the volumes that you are trying to restore. And it's a pretty quick and easy process. So our image restore tool is how we restore all of our images today. I'm going to leave you all with a quick teaser, as much as maybe someone might not want me to. Raffi talked about OneDrive and Google Drive. The right solution there is a SaaS backup product. Stay tuned to NinjaOne in the coming months, where we will be able to offer our customers SaaS backup, Microsoft Office and Google Workspace through the NinjaOne with NinjaOne. So we're excited to talk more about that in the future, but stay tuned is the best I can say for now. How we doing on time, Nick? Anything else we should be going over?
I think that's good to go. I think we're right up against time. I'm gonna bring JP in for to go over our last little thing here, our webinar prize giveaway. JP,
I'm going to go over one more thing, Nick.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, go
If
ahead.
I didn't answer your question, come to
Oh,
our
yes.
NinjaOne Discord. And we've got a backup channel. I'd love to talk more in depth about a lot of stuff. There's only so much I can fit in at once, but thank you for being a part of this, guys. We really value your feedback and opinion. I'm going to get the product board link right now in chat. So this is me asking for feedback about that disaster recovery. We'll make sure it goes out in the post materials as well, but I'll hand it over to you, JP.
Sweet. Thanks so much, Dan. Excuse me, I'm a little bit under the weather if you catch a frog in my throat. But thanks everyone for joining us today. Like Dan said, definitely join the NinjaOne Discord. It's a great resource. We're about 5,000 strong right now, and we're always looking to grow. Go ahead and check out our YouTube for any past webinars and events that we've had, and also check out our events section for any upcoming webinars that you might want to join. I want to give a big thanks to Raffi for joining us today. Obviously what you went through is really hard, but we really appreciate you coming here and talking it through with us. And thanks everyone for joining us. Part of the way that we like to thank you for joining us is we like to have a little prize giveaway at the end of all of our webinars. So be sure to stick around, and hopefully we'll see you at the next one. But I'd like to announce today's winner. So if I get a little drum roll, please. Drum emojis in the chat. Let me see here. Today's winner of either their choice of a Sonos Ray soundbar, a 10.2-inch iPad, or the Ninja Woodfire outdoor grill and smoker, no relation. Today's winner is Robert Hughes. So big congrats to Robert. I'll be reaching out to you with a link later today, and in an email with a link on how to go ahead and claim your prize. But yeah, thanks again, everyone. Hopefully we'll see you at the next one. And back to you, Nick. Take it away.
Thanks so much. I just want to say one more last thank you so much, Raffi. Really appreciate you taking the time. It was a pleasure having you, and look forward to working more in the future together.
Likewise. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
All right.
See you, everyone.
Everybody.
All right, take care, Errol. See you later.